Hello everyone, greetings from Hawaii. I'm Lee Schooland. Today I'm going to talk about the myth of individualism. What is individualism? One definition is an individual's separation, total independence, and uniqueness from external authority of power. I call it outward individualism. Another definition is one's power from within the context of one's connection and unity with external authorities of power. I call it inward individualism. The combination of both characteristics is what I like to see myself possess, especially in 2020. With our own eyes, we watch governments of the world imitating China and the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, by locking down countries, cities, businesses, and putting almost everyone under house arrest in 2020. At the same time, presidents, governors, and mayors are expanding their powers unlawfully and without limit to dictate every aspect of our daily lives without real legitimate reason. As Friedrich Hayek put it brilliantly, emergencies have always been the context on which the safeguards of individual liberties have been eroded. As an individual, what should or can we do? Should we follow the crowd and let governments scare us and manipulating us to willingly forsake our freedom and sovereignty over our own lives? Or should we exercise our own rights and individualism to say no to the authorities and face not just the consequences but also attacks from the people we love and are close to? We could be in chains by force, but we should not be enslaved. I was born in China and lived there for 26 years, from the late 1950s to mid-1980s. I have lived through the worst of the CCP horror. Therefore, the current situation of government-dictated daily life is not at all new or shocking to me. The Chinese Communist Party and its leader Mao Zedong came to power and took over China under the so-called good intentions of loving, caring, and helping the people, especially the poor and the majority, by providing food, housing, work, education, healthcare, and everything that the government thought was essential to individuals. At the same time, CCP eliminated everything else that they didn't think was essential or politically correct. After nearly 40 years of trying hard to take care of its people from 1949 on, the Chinese Communist government brought 1/4 of the world's population to starvation, and all were living under extreme poverty. Why was the CCP able to continue its planned economy and dictatorship over Chinese people's life for so long? It's just because people believed the government and trusted their so-called good intentions and stopped thinking for themselves, and the people exercised their power from within the context of their connections and unity or harmony with external authorities of power without any question. By doing so, those individuals willingly choose to empower the authorities to be masters over themselves and positioned themselves as obedient slaves for the greater good of society. So the inward individualism brought about anti-individualist consequences. But why didn't Chinese society from 1950 to 1980 become better with all the sacrifices the individuals made under the great loving and caring authority? Because slaves only make their master better off, not their country nor themselves. Is history repeating itself right now, not just in China, but over most of the globe? Today, a lot of people choose to trust the government, but not themselves. They think the government knows best, has the ability to protect everyone, regardless of all the different situations, needs, and conditions, more so than each individual does. At the same time, we are all watching the economy of our countries decline at record speed. Poverty levels are increasing daily. Unemployment rates are skyrocketing, and the government are putting band-aids to cover up wounds by borrowing money with no intention or means to pay back, and increasing the money supply without any sound backing. From my personal experience, I can foresee with confidence that not only the current generation will suffer from the harm that governments are creating with their reaction to the pandemic, the future generation will also have to pay for it. Is there anything that an individual should or can do right now? A combination of both: one, separation, total independence, and uniqueness from external authority of power, and two, exercise one's power from within the context of one's connection and unity or harmony with external authorities of power should be a good choice. We should speak out against totalitarian authorities, say no to the lockdowns, and join force with other like-minded people across the globe and try to make our voice heard. Choosing to be silent can be very harmful. We should support and pay attention to independent research and scientific evidence on the virus, the prevention, and the cure. But blindly trusting the government data and claims is irresponsible. We should do our best to know how to protect ourselves and others. Following the government's rule to stay home and to wear a mask is not the best way. Standing up to the authorities is not enough. We must stand out as responsible individuals ourselves and exemplify our freedom. Our attitude is more infectious than a virus. Our attitude should demonstrate the last human freedom. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way of facing the current fight with COVID-19. I quote, "And there were always choices to make. Every day, every hour offered the opportunity to make a decision which determined whether you would or would not submit to those powers which threatened to rob you of your very self, your inner freedom, which determined whether or not you become the plaything to circumstances renouncing freedom and dignity." Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Ultimate Meaning. These actions require the inward individualism.